we were just, bags of protoplasm come alive, just that alone, then we would be driven only by the survival instinct. And yet, so when people risk their lives, sacrifice their lives, we consider it noble. So where does this sense of nobility, this sense of ethics, where does it come from? Sometimes it doesn't help our survival, the sense of ethics. And yet, when people sacrifice at that time, we consider it noble. So this, our sense of ethics, it ultimately comes from our spiritual side. So that's why when we develop our spiritual side, then our ethics become very strong. Otherwise also ethics can be there, but they will not have much foundation because they are not connected to the source. They are based on functional considerations. But when we have when we are ourselves spiritually aware, we are connected with our source, then our ethics have a spiritual foundation. And they can be sustained even when there are challenges, even when there are temptations, even when there are threats. So overall, ethics are possible in people. Every ethics are possible. The ethical sense is present in everyone, but it will be developed at different degrees. And sometimes, even in people who are non-spiritual, it can be there to a significant extent. But it may not be sustainable because it lacks a foundation. So if we have spiritual understanding to life, and we also have spiritual connection, spiritual awareness developed through spiritual practices, then the ethical foundation will be very strong and sustainable.
Thank you.
No.
Just last two questions so we can break for
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was a very inspiring lecture. Everybody was profound in their reflections about their ways how they are managing leadership and about their spirituality. However, I have a question to Ron Pitamber. So I was hearing your talk and I was quite motivated. You have been leading the heritage group of hotels for the last 50 years. And you were mentioning about your 5 hours of meditation. So as a youngster, I would really like to know, what kept you motivating throughout these 50 years? Was there any cross point in your life where either of it kind of hampered maybe your spiritual practice, hampered your professional goals, or your professional goals came in the path of your spiritual practice? So I would really like to know that recipe which you followed to keep on going both side by side and having a balance of both of them. So
I don't need a mic, so basically it's very simple. I'm a very driven person, so once you get involved in the financial world and the financial markets, money is readily available, and so
just for the benefit of everybody.
So the capital is available, and so the greed factor that you have will keep driving you in the material world. The spiritual drive is something that you develop internally, and you have your internal sphere and you have your external spiritual sphere. Right now I'm in the external spiritual sphere. But internally my drive was that when I looked at that cosmic intelligence, it was much smarter, bigger, better. So I always wanted to connect with it, and having that cosmic spirit behind you makes material life pretty easy. So I really haven't worked hard, and as obstacles came in, we overcame the obstacles with the grace of the Spirit that is guiding us. So it was a pretty easy ride. Only thing I went back is a daily routine. My dad taught me, he says, do an excellent niyam. And if with the niyam, I was able to spend time on spirituality, and I was able to spend time in the material world.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for the wonderful class and the discussion. I have a question directed to Ishan. So there are many religions in the world today, Christianity, Hinduism, it's not the right word though, Islam, and every one of them think that their religion is best and can answer and address all the problems of the life. And so my question to you is, you might have seen Christianity a lot and have been associated with it, maybe in your early life. So what is different in Sanatana Dharma which attracts you? And second part of my question is, should we do something to reach out to other people as well?
Good question. Thank you. Very good question. Yes, I was sent to a Christian Sunday school from age 3 till age 14. And at age 14, I had began going to bookstores and finding books on other religions and faiths. So I brought some books on Hinduism to my Christian Sunday school. I said, wow, I've just found these really good books. Maybe we should study these too. And the Christian Sunday school teacher said, no, no, no. Don't bring those books to our class. So I was very obedient at about age 14, and I never brought the books back, but I also never went back myself. Because one of the original things that attracted me to the Sanatana Dharma was tolerance for all the world's faiths and the understanding that there are various paths up the mountain. And that was the initial key for me. But then beyond that, it went much beyond that, in that I began experiencing some, what would be called, I guess, spiritual states of consciousness without any intellectual understanding. And only what I read in the scriptures of Hinduism, or Sanatana Dharma, explained what was going on. So our scriptures as Hindus, we can go as far as we want, all the way to God realization. Whereas in many faiths of the world, as good as they are at keeping people doing good things, they actually have some of their teachings which block spiritual realization. If you're a certain types of Christian or Islam, and you say, oh, God and I are one, they'll stone you to death, or they're supposed to. So the Sanatana Dharma is, I think, has the most truth, if you could put it that way, or the most complete truth of any faith on the planet. Did I answer all the questions?
No, I think the second question was not answered. The second question was, how can we help people?
Oh, yes. Well, it depends on who we're talking to, of course. We have to have the wisdom to see where someone is and to just help them to their next step. We can't have someone here and then explain, Nirvikalpa Samadhi to someone that's just trying to get over being an alcoholic, maybe. The step by step. So I think the wisdom of seeing who you're talking to and knowing your audience is very important. But in general, I think we can explain, and most Americans understand already, the concepts of karma and reincarnation, and that leads to dharma, right? We want to mitigate any unseemly karma. And we can form an alliance on that basis. And once you understand that, then you can talk about the presence of God and the many angels, as they would call them in America, or devas, that help people, the guardian devas. Many Americans understand that already. And with that in common, you can draw parallels and say, well, we all believe in that too. A very important thing in America, though, is to overcome the misconception that Hindus are polytheistic. Almost every Hindu I know believes there's one supreme God, right? So we have to make sure we emphasize that when we talk to people. That yes, there is one God. We are monotheistic. And they'll say, well, what about Ganesha and Lakshmi and And the way to explain that is those are like your angels. They're divine beings. And they help humanity. But we all believe in one supreme God. And that overcomes a big objection that many people are harboring in America. Does that answer the question? Yes. Thank you.
If I could add to that one, right, how do we help others, right? I think as the topic was brought up by Ishan and Swami added to that, being a minister, right, or being an ambassador of spirituality in this material world that we live in, and helping others see the path and stay on the path. I think someone in this audience here who does that, I would like to acknowledge that Ajay Goyalji, who in this Folsom community, right, does this very proactively in terms of bringing people together and sharing with them his knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, so others can see that, right? So there are ways in which you can help others, right? And then that could be as simple as what you know, share that with others, and it will help them in their own way. Right? It doesn't have to be in a very visible and big manner every time, right? But those small things that you do, right, can really guide others in a big way.
One quick thing about reaching out to others. Our goal is not horizontal conversion from this religion to this religion. Our goal is spiritual elevation. So it will be vertical conversion, you could say. So if somebody is following a particular path and a person is inspired to follow that path, we shouldn't shake their faith in that. And encourage them to not just follow the path externally, but to go deeper and to raise themselves spiritually. But if somebody is just nominally born in a particular faith, but has never followed that, is not interested in following that, then we can surely share our faith with them and tell us what we have found special, how it has benefited us. So I was thinking, we have the much clearer understanding of the absolute truth in the Sanatana Dharma than in other traditions. And so we can definitely tell about what we find special in Sanatana Dharma and then give it to them. So our goal is, as you also said, we want to help others become spiritually elevated. So whether it is they become spiritually elevated by the faith that they are already following, or whether they become spiritually elevated by the faith that is helping elevate us, that is a choice which is up to them. And we should present it in such a way that they are facilitated in the spiritual elevation. And regarding there being different gods, I often use this term. People say, "Oh, you are polytheistic." So actually, these categories, monotheism and polytheism, they come from a limited frame of reference. In the Sanatana Dharma, there is one absolute truth, but he has many forms. Vishnu, Ram, Krishna, Narayan, there are many forms. So, if we actually want to use this terminology, we are neither monotheists nor polytheists. We are actually polymorphic monotheists. And actually not just polymorphic monotheists. Because in the West, we always have God as masculine. But if we see in the Indian tradition, we have God always as couple. We have Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram. So we are not just polymorphic monotheism, it is polymorphic bi-monotheism. One God manifests as a couple and there are multiple couples. So polymorphic bi-monotheism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was a wonderful answer. So we'll break now for dinner. And Prabhu is available here. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, with his, if you would like to get personal copies, he can sign them. Is that okay, Prabhu? And thank you very much, the entire panel, for sharing your wisdom with all of us. And to all of you who have come here on a Tuesday night, I'm sure you have many other things to do on Tuesday night when you have Wednesday as a working day. So thank you, all of you. Please give a round of applause to So we can have more interaction while we are having dinner. So let's break for dinner. Okay.